Here we go. A little technical difficulty to start the show off with, but I promise you we'll make it up in overtime tonight. It might be a day late, but never a buck short. I got Clayton Kaufman from Sculpted Exotics on the show tonight. He's going to teach this old man a thing or two about capital management, creative genetics, and we're going to talk about the Scottsdale AARPE show. We got a little something to make up here on the late start. Thanks for your patience. Let's get to it. Guys, how you doing tonight? First off, my apologies for the slow start. We do a little AV testing in the green room, and after testing everything possible on Clayton's devices, we discovered it was Adam's end was the problem. So my apologies for keeping you waiting tonight. We will make it up in quality content, I promise you. Thanks for being here tonight. We are coming to you ad-free from the fine people at Palm Street. You should check out the Palm Street app at palmstreet.app. Download the app, apply to start selling reptiles, and start building your business on a live streaming interactive platform. Pretty cool. As I said, Clayton Kaufman is here tonight, Sculpted Exotics. I'll introduce him in just a moment. Really not much in the way of announcements right now. This Sunday, I just concluded, I think it was 7 shows in 8 weeks, but it might have been 8 shows in 9 weeks. And that goes all the way back to mid-September. So anyway, I'm pretty gassed is what I'm telling you, but I'm feeling good because I'm through it. It was a fantastic run of shows. Thanks. Wherever I saw you, if I got to see you, if you purchased something from me, thank you all very, very much. I appreciate it. It's so fun to get out and vend, to interact with people, and I appreciate it. It takes a lot out of me, and now it's time to catch up on all the things that I didn't do while I was out traveling, out vending, and all of that kind of stuff. So thanks very much. I really, like I say, I don't have much announcements. I won't be anywhere until vending in person until December 21st at the next Snake Discovery show here in town in Minneapolis. And so that means I'll be doing a whole lot on Instagram, on my website, properroyals.com. If you're interested in first dibs on any clutches you see coming up, check out the Proper Royals Patreon. And then, of course, Palm Street. I've been doing this thing on Palm Street every Monday. Today was actually a Tuesday, obviously, because it is Tuesday. I did it today because I was catching up stuff yesterday. But I've been doing this thing on Palm Street every Monday. Instead of just running an auction, I really like the idea of building a community, build content that people are interested in. And it's really great and really intriguing that people just like to see what goes on in a reptile facility, a full-time reptile shop. So every Monday I do 3 to 4 hours of, while I've got my chores going, showing off snakes, talking about whatever content people want to discuss, topics of genetics, of breeding, of combos, morphs. Today we talked about Aspen versus Coco, time allotment for different things that I do and my routines and that sort of thing. Of course, we talked about the snakes. Anyway, what I'm saying is on Mondays, come hang out on Palm Street and check that out. So I'll get into it one of these days, not here and now. This isn't the time, but I really like the Palm Street platform, and I could tell you about it all later, or check out other videos on YouTube. I talk about it a fair amount. So check it out. I hope to see you there. Otherwise, like I say, check out properroyals.com or follow on Instagram. If you're new tonight, you come to check me out because Clayton's here. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you like what you hear and you enjoy the content, maybe consider liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. You can find me on Instagram, Morph Market, Facebook, every now and again on TikTok, more often on Palm Street, and then out in the world in person as well. I kind of like that too. So otherwise, I got to tell you, like I say, I really don't have any announcements. I'm so excited just to get back to a routine of doing what I do. So with that being said, Clayton Kaufman is from Sculpted Exotics. He is a member of the Proper Royals Patreon. I'm thankful for that. But to be honest, I don't know him that well. I don't know if you've noticed I'm not quite old man territory, but maybe uncle territory. I'm not sure how that expression works these days. But we different generations and different focuses. And but I've been really impressed with what I've seen. The caliber of animals that he deals in is phenomenal. Clayton worked with us on the Epic project as well. He was a featured guest on the All In 2025 episode of Epic. That's the Exotic Pet Industry Conference that we put on. Myself, Craig Hansen, and Nikki from Irresistibles. That's a project that we have going. And so I got to learn a little bit about Clayton then, and I just see banger after banger that he posts. It's unbelievable. And I said, man, I got to figure out what this guy's doing. And I was talking to Clayton before the show, just to get it out of the way. Clayton is 20 for a frame of reference. I am 45. And I say that because there's a little bit of a patronizing aspect that comes when you're like, oh, how old are you? Oh, look at you. You're doing great stuff and you're so young, blah, blah, blah. That's not really my angle, other than to say you can get started at this stuff anytime. You can make financial decisions at any time, and you can learn the world of finance and business at any time. And so I mean it in a complimentary way if I ever speak of Clayton's age during this episode. With all that being said, there's nothing more awkward than talking about the guest who's sitting there listening to you talk about them in the green room. So please welcome for the very first time to the Proper Royals stage, Clayton Kaufman from Sculpted Exotics. How you doing, Clayton?
Pretty good. How about yourself, man?
I am good. I'm good, man. You have the patience of a saint after all that AV check that we went through. It was something on my end, man. I apologize for that. Thanks for being here, man.
It's all good, man. It seems like a ritual almost. Every time I'm on a live, there's always some kind of technical difficulty or some sort. So I think it's just kind of like my signature a little bit.
It's the fun of doing live stuff. I like playing music live. I like vending live. I like interacting with people live. We even had a conversation or started a conversation a few days ago, and I was like, stop talking. I got to ask you about it on the show live. Right. So it comes with the territory, but it's all done and settled. So we're in good shape. Take a moment, if you would, if people don't know you and they haven't met you, give us a little kind of the elevator pitch of yourself, your brand, as it relates to ball pythons.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Clayton Kaufman from Sculpted Exotics. We deal with ball pythons mainly. We've been breeding for going on about 4 years now. About 2.5 years ago is when we started seriously looking at investment level animals. And since then, we just really haven't had the ball stop rolling.
Who is the, I hear we, who is the we?
So I just like to refer to it as, in general, a we. Okay. I like that term a lot more. But I have an investor as well. She's a little bit more hands off, and then she just kind of trusts me to do the day-to-day care and things like that. But that is my grandma, actually. So she's really, bless her. I love her so much. She's helped me a ton through all of this. So. Very
cool. I want to dive into that later. And as we talked a little bit about in the green room as well, I know that could be a touchy subject. On the other hand, it grinds my gears. I sound like an old man. It annoys me that we're not taught so much financial and business knowledge in school. To me, I had a conversation with my son tonight. He's 13 over dinner talking about credit, investors, and debt, and gambling for that matter as well. And putting all that into a blender together, like, I don't want to shy away from that because I resent that it took me till I was 28 till I understood what an index fund was to invest in, and probably close to my 40s before I was like, wait a minute, I've been looking at business all wrong for 40 years of my life, which is, frankly, I feel like a crime against me. But we'll get to all that later. You vended this weekend at the All-American Reptile Plant Expo in Scottsdale. Did I have that right?
Yep.
Did you say that was your first time vending?
Yeah, so that was actually our
Get
debut, and
out
it
of here,
was.
man. Okay.
I know it was crazy. It was definitely a great experience. We'd forgotten a couple things, just like you said, doing things in person, things always go crazy, haywire or whatnot, right? But overall, like I said, it was a great experience.
Well, remind me after the show. I'll send you my show checklist that
Oh
even
yeah.
still, I do like 26 to 28 shows a year. I still use every time just because of like, even in business in my career, like I opened the same restaurant every day for years on end. If I didn't have a checklist of, 60 things that were important to me, sure enough, something would get lost. So anyway, I believe in systems and processes, but, I'll tell you from my experience, Nick and Troy put on a hell of a show. They're the promoters at AARP. And I know a little bit, not much, but I know a little bit about the Scottsdale marketplace because when I worked for the PGA Tour, TPC Scottsdale is out there in a club that's owned and managed by the PGA Tour. I worked there for a little bit, so I got a good feel for the market. I think you might have experienced like one of the best shows you could possibly experience as the first one, vending. Tell us about like, what was the volume like? What were your impressions like? Just, I know you said you were tied to the table most of the time. So just through your eyes, what'd you see?
Well, so from the very start of the show, there was quite a few people just walking in. I mean, it was a little bit slower around that VIP section, but once it opened up to the public, a lot of pet people were coming in, especially because Clint and Brian were there. So that definitely drove in a lot of people.
Oh
We had
yeah.
done like a little like greet and talk at the start of the show, just to get people a little bit more familiar with just what was going on. And yeah, I mean, there was yeah.
I had heard, through the breeder grapevine, I heard that Saturday was like smashed attendance. Like I heard it was just a
Most definitely.
phenomenal attended show. Is that what you saw? I mean, did it just feel like it was just bonkers?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, all day it was really packed, and people were a lot happier with the show. I heard from a lot of people they did think it was going to be a little bit bigger just because of the venue it was at. The venue was a very large place. So I think there's a lot of room for growth. That's a good thing because a lot of people are like, oh, there's next year I'm expecting a little bit more, right? So people can start expanding, bring a little bit more. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, in comparison to the other shows we have, people seemed a lot happier, and people were buying animals, things were moving. Yeah.
Very good. What did you, how much experience do you have as far as like going, have you been to, do you go to other reptile expos or you're mostly online or what's your personal experience with that?
So I started recently going to a little bit more shows about 6 months ago. I went out to Sear and a couple of the other shows on the West Coast, or I'm sorry, the East Coast,
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
yeah, they're really fun in comparison to a lot of the shows here in Arizona. They're a little bit smaller, things like that. The All-American was definitely probably the biggest show we've had here in Arizona, and I think people are really happy that it's here, and I think it's something that we really needed.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm, I have to be careful what I say sometimes because I've been privy to certain conversations that I know are private and that I don't want to dig in on. I'll just say I'm so happy to hear that because I know Nick and Troy faced some headwinds, let's just say, in Scottsdale. And I'm not at liberty to speak about that. You're more than welcome to if you have any idea what I'm talking about. But Nick and Troy have done things the right way. And my personal belief is that the best thing about capitalism is competition. Monopolies are not capitalistic. And I'll leave it there, but I'm so glad to hear that the outcome was how successful and your feedback that you're providing right now, because those guys do a great job. I have no dog in the fight. I don't advertise for them. I've never vended one of their shows. I've been to several of their shows. And I know them personally, but I've actually never even bought an animal from either one of them. So this is me speaking as unbiased as I can. I like the way that they are doing things. I like the way that they're going about things. And I do believe competition in the marketplace is a good thing. So I'm happy to hear that that's out there for them, that it went so well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like you were saying, the monopolization of like the shows here, it just really hurts a lot of people. I mean, not as many animals are getting out there. It's confining more interest. I mean, this whole hobby is based around sharing things along those lines.
Right.
What you find beautiful, whatever. And so when you start to become exclusive of those things, it really just hurts the flow. And yeah.
Yeah. And I know that there's a thin line. Healthy competition sometimes means that there's winners and losers, which is inconvenient. That's not wonderful feeling. But that's different than a monopoly where somebody goes, nobody else can come compete. Screw that. Get in the ring. Show me what you got. You knock me on my butt. Fine. That's it. That's how it goes. I got to get up and I got to go learn and I got to do it better, faster, cheaper, something. But to just say that nobody's allowed, that's a terrible sign of weakness in my opinion. So anyway,
I agree.
Yeah. So I'll let that be. Let's go back to your experience. Are you willing to share how many animals you sold? What types of animals were you selling? What's going on?
Yeah, so everything we brought to the table was ball pythons. I only had one table. I vended with my buddy Matt Yates. He had a display, and then I had brought 2 next level displays. So in total, it was like probably like 50 tables on the or 50 animals on the table, something around that. I brought about 32 animals, and 13 of those animals had actually sold. So overall, I was really happy. That's about half of what I brought, right? So the first night, I actually had to go back home and restock, which I was really not expecting.
My man, nice work, man.
In terms of like what was selling, it was definitely a range. We had a couple higher end people come in, nothing over 1,000, but I had a couple $700, $500, $600 sales. But the majority of like the lower end stuff was all like clown pied stuff around like $300, $500 range. That stuff was really, really moving. So
how much do you, so I've, in my experience, I kind of agree with you that sweet spot of maybe even 200, but certainly 300 to 500 is, I mean, that's, and actually in a good day, that's, if that could be 80% of your sales, you're going to have a little wholesale stuff under it. And you're going to have a couple, just really great, like you say, other breeders or just perfect animals at the right time. Do you find yourself pricing things into that window? I mean, you talk about clown pieds. I mean, both of us can remember this, and it wasn't that long ago. Clown pieds were not in that window. I don't know where they were, but they were not in that window. You know what I mean?
So I definitely so at the shows, I went into it with the more conservative mind for the price points. I figured if I'm going there, I want to make back at least my table fees. And that was something I did notice was when I did have the chance to walk around the show, a lot of people so it was very mixed on how people did in terms of sales. And I noticed the people who didn't do as well had their animals relatively high from the very start. And it'd be for like simple things like a banana spot nose clown for like $500-$600. It's a little much for that, especially because I mean people talk about you don't want to saturate the market, things like that. But at the point we are, a base clown animal isn't going to be hurting anyone's projects that we're looking at long term, because they're still, I mean, generations away from making a clown het, DG, hypo, whatever, right?
Right.
So
yeah, right. Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, you're not going to sink the clown projects going on out there with your, like you say, banana spot nose clown. On the other hand, that is a beautiful eye-catching animal. I mean, to the right person who has done research and is well prepared and goes, I want an eye-catching animal that looks like a cartoon come to life. That's a pretty cool animal.
Most definitely. And I think there is a mix. People aren't stupid either. So like when they walk around and they see like, oh, well, I can get this banana clown for, $200, and then this one just has spot nose, right? And so why is it so and so much more? I don't know. With like a year or two ago, a singular gene like that would make a substantial difference in something of value. But for me personally, with where I'm at, if it's a banana spot nose clown and it's only going to really change the value $150, right? Something like that. To me, I'd rather just take it at the lower price point, get it moved, so I'm not holding it on, not feeding it for the rest of 5-6 months while it's on morph market, whatever. I'll take that. Plus it also makes the customer feel like they got a good deal out of it too, and that's like one of the most important parts of the purchase itself, is making sure they're happy with what they got. So now they're getting a quality animal that looks great, and you can say, oh, you can even start your price point at $500-$600, and then start the conversation off with everything's negotiable, right?
Right.
And then you can be like, so what I did was I was like, when I was talking to people, I'd be like, well, I have it this more market's already up compared to what I have listed, but to make back some of my table fees, I could do this for you, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. And that really just entices the people to buy whatever kind of pet animal, whatever you are doing. So
let me back out from this for a second, because I'm a big believer in every person has their own perspective, their own resources, their own limitations, their own context. Do you see would that, let's keep the same example, even if it's hypothetical. I don't know if we're talking about an actual animal or not, but let's keep the same hypothetical one. Banana clown spot nose. Is that something you are able to sell at a given asking price on Morph Market, or is that something that sits there forever? You have to go to auction. You're going to end up taking the wholesale price at auction anyway. And how many in-person, well, you said this is your first in-person show. How many in-person shows do you think that you'll be doing going forward on a regular basis?
A lot more. So I like I said, I went into the show mindset being very conservative. That's mainly because of the auctions. I've been using the auctions to move a lot of my like lower end animals. Just because like my main like clientele is that like $1,000-$1,500 kind of range. So anything above lower than that, I'm like, all right, it needs to, find a new home, things along those lines. So when I went into the show, I was already expecting maybe get a quarter to half of what I was listing for. And if I can make back my table fees, then awesome. And let's go with a couple animals. So that's where I was at with it.
Gotcha. So and again, like I said, I mean this with all respect, because I think that this is a perfect example of different focus, different resources, different outcomes. And it's a different market too. Like, I don't know. The Midwest has its own, the upper Midwest has its own little marketplace. If it were a female banana spot nose clown, probably 375 to 400 is what I would mark it at on the table. And then, like you say, maybe you do a little show negotiation. Probably wouldn't go under 350 for it. But part of my mindset is I know I can sell. For example, I know my banana leopard clowns, I'll move them at 375. So if I know that in my regional market, and I know that I have another show on the horizon either next week or the week after, like say I average 2 a month. So that's a little different outlook than if you're going to do national caliber shows 6 or 8 times a year. It might not make sense to bag that animal up, because if Morph Market or any classified ad or any online platform, let's be honest, they're all extremely tough when it comes to moving that caliber of animal. Maybe you let it go less than that, like you say, with the focus on covering table fees, building brands, building a relationship with the customer. There's all those values in there too.
For an animal of like a banana spot-nose clown, I think you'll get a better price at it at a show rather than an auction. Just because people who will most likely be buying it as a pet rather than like a breeder aspect. People who are breeding, they're going to be looking more at those like triple, double heads for that price range, and that'll have more longevity for them. So to me, it's I could auction it and take the really low price, or I could just bring it to the show and it sells for $50-$100 under what I would have listed it for, and I'm happy.
Right. I was interested in how you actually, let's talk about that. So let's talk about Morph Market for a minute. Where do you find, what animals are you finding the most success on, and what strategies from if it's here or better, I'm loving Morph Market. If it's not here, I may as well go auction or save it for the live show. Or what other variable, what other platforms, or what other ways are you seeing?
So if the animal like retail, like on Morph Market, would be like around like $300, I'd usually just hold it until I have a group of them, and then I'd wholesale those as like one group on auction. And then in terms of like stuff that I like, because I use auctions a lot just to keep up with my weekly bills.
Right.
I put up a lot of like clown hat pied stuff on there, and that stuff does really well. So I've really made a priority to make not all of my projects just exactly what I want, but also what people want. Because I'm not like too crazy about clown pied stuff, but it gets a lot of people into it, and it pays the bills, things like that. So
yeah,
I make a couple clutches for that, and I designate those for the auctions, and then some like lower end stuff, like I might put like a GHI yellow belly OD het clown, something like that on there, and something like that is useful to someone, right?
yes,
And they'll bid on it, and it gets something like that. But it is a little bit slower, and if you put up like 30 animals, for instance, like you can't, if you were to take the amount of animals you take to a show to an auction, you'll get like $5 for each one, so you can't over flood it. There's definitely a healthy balance, and there's already so many people, especially with Morph Market giving everyone a bunch of free auctions, things like that. It's almost more worth to do like some of these bundle sales than to individually sell them out. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. And I will be fully transparent. I've literally never once auctioned an animal on Morph Market.
Oh yeah.
I I don't like the model. I realize it's completely fine. I'm not against the model, but for me, I've always found eventually I'm able to sell an animal somewhere. And here's my thing, if I'm going to sell an animal at some of the prices like we're hearing or seeing about, I'd rather make the connection in person with a new customer because what did you just say? Orange Dream, Yellow Belly, XYZ, Heck Clown.
Mhm.
If somebody's buying that, chances are good that they at least have an idea in their mind that they want to breed and they think that they will breed one day. So if I can make a good relationship with that person, maybe they'll buy more from me in the future versus a stranger in the ether that I just send a box to and then get annoyed at the dollar per animal price. But that, again, that's for me and what works for me in the world that I've sort of built around myself.
So auctions I completely understand where you're coming from like that. And I think with some deals, it definitely is like that. But if you maneuver your way correctly within the auction, you can make it a very personal thing where they did get a great deal and you are sending it off to someone else. But at the same time, it is starting a relationship off with them on having a great deal in their favor.
Man,
And a lot of people love that, you know?
fantastic point. You can make the most. I think, how do I put it? Just that mindset and that effort goes a very, very long way versus somebody who might not. Whether it happens or not, of course, it takes two people to tango. Maybe the person doesn't want to know you at all. Maybe they're just going, boom, I just got a screaming deal. I'm out of here. But just the mindset that you just expressed is actually that's my whole point. That is all I'm trying to convey, actually. Great job saying that, man. I agree with you on that. We talked about earlier, you're 20. I hope for you, you have a long, healthy life ahead of you. You have you're put it this way. I'm much closer to getting out than you are, just from a actuarial standpoint, numbers wise. What excites you about ball pythons, given the conversation that we are having right now? What excites you about, hey, I mean, I see the racks behind you. Like you've either got a long-term plan or you're throwing a lot of money away. So, and I know you're not throwing a lot of money away. So what excites you about a long-term plan, given the conversations we're having right now at the age of 20?
So, in terms of like a long-term plan, I mean, obviously these animals are very rewarding when you've worked for years and then you finally hit that animal, right? It's super cool. But, long-term, this would be something I do my entire life. That's why I also prioritize like my personal projects and then funding projects, right? And so personal projects for me that are really exciting me would be like Desert Ghost VPI Zebra, something along those. I love the black and white stuff. It just always holds a passion in me. And it holds like I remember like the VPI stuff at the table too did really well. I sold a Firefly VPI, things like that. So it sparks another interest for people. But yeah, that's definitely where it'd be at for me, is just seeing the infinite combos. Because I was telling people too, I was at the show. I mean, realistically, we've only discovered like 30-40% of the combos out there. There's so much more.
I've had this conversation with everybody from Chris Eaton in person to just if we took or even when people say I made a world's first. Be more excited about reaching your goal project animal than world's first, because statistically there are enough combos that we could all have world's first and there would still be more left over. That's a literal mathematic truth. Now, whether they would exist, because we don't have time in our lives to make a 19 combo and 19 gene combo animal. But yeah, I think we're still just scratching the surface, and there's so much that we passed by along the way because of trends and chasing things. So I'm not worried about a shortage of cool stuff. I guess the crux of my question was more, I'm worried about auctions, $5 animals.
Okay.
The business model. Are you in a mindset of stick at it, it's going to get better? Are you at a mindset of this is the standard, I'm going to find a way to live within this and it's going to be a volume game? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think on certain projects, this is definitely going to be the new standard for things. Just getting in. There will always be those high-end clientele and whatnot, but with the times moving, with inflation and things like that, just overproduction. I mean, bananas, 25 years ago were going like 50 grand, whatever, right? But as you produce them more, like I was saying, the clown, the banana spot nose clown, that's not going to hurt anyone's production from now on. So that should be a byproduct animal, if anything. And so now the main like interest, it's just shifting from like different animals, essentially more advanced animals now. So the market isn't gone. You have to produce new things that are
Yeah.
evolving. Hmm.
Right. Let's talk about some breakdowns that you've brought up. So you talked about your, I think you used the word personal, but they are business goals too. But your personal animals you're excited about, your animals that you breed to pay the bills, and then something that you just mentioned, I think, or we're alluding to, probably requires ongoing investment.
Hmm.
So, how much of your breeding stock is kind of like, hey, this is what I'm after, what I want to be known for? How much is, hey, these will sell and I'll pay the bills? And then of that, how much do you reinvest in new animals?
Um, so it varies a little bit because I have a couple different deals going on. So it depends what animal sells. Because I just recently acquired a collection, and so anything out of that collection that I do sell until I pay back the collection, it goes 100% to him. So I can't buy anything out of that. But anything that I'm making with like, my own personal collection, it usually goes almost directly back into the business, besides for like rodent feed, and then like I have a monthly to my investor as well.
Sure.
Um,
Are
but I,
you are you willing, able, want to? What are your life responsibilities? You got a mortgage, you got a car payment, you got student loans, you got
yeah.
utility bills. What's that look like for you?
So I have in total it's about 9,000 a month. So it's definitely a lot there, but I don't have any mortgage or anything like that. I'm not a homeowner just yet. I
Mhm.
have a car payment. I have the investor, and then I have the collection, and then feeding, and in general upkeep and rent and utilities. So,
Wow. Okay,
and
so
then life
you're
insurance, insurance, things like that. So,
yeah. So
um,
your overhead is 9 grand a month. That's
yeah,
you got to do 9 grand a month before you make a penny,
yeah. Well, not necessarily. I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, but yeah.
or
Um,
before you can reinvest or
mhm.
anything like that. So
So once I'm done paying off the collection and the and my investor as well, then technically I would only be needing to make around 3,500 a month to really be
mhm.
making breaking even, because I don't plan on expanding in terms of size past this. I'm happy with where I'm at. I actually want to go down, if anything. We have a little over 100 breeder females, but not all of those are necessary stuff I want to be breeding.
Right, right.
Um, and so it was up.
Well, I was going to say so 9 grand a month. I think that's $108,000 a year gross revenue. Just to That's a lot. How do you sleep at night, man? How's that going? I mean,
Um,
let's just
Actually,
let's
it's
just
it's been
back way
going
out. Forget the stats. Like, are you doing
it's been
okay,
going
man?
really well. Yeah, no, I mean, so 2024 was a little slow, but that's because we didn't have a lot of production. But the start of 2025, I mean, we just kicked it off with the blast. I mean, our first clutch out of the year was leopard spot nose sunset head clown combos, right? And so those did really well for us. And then ever since then, before I acquired the collection, my overhead was about like 2,600. And then I was making around like 7 to 8 grand a month on average. After buying the collection, we're averaging around 20,000.
Okay.
Um, Last month was actually really, really good. We made 69, just shy of it. But so that was crazy. I wasn't expecting that. And I'm not expecting that every month. But on average, it's around 20,000 a month. And so it clears our feeding, all of that. So we are profiting, and it is that's what I was trying to explain as well too, is these animals, they are definitely still moving. You just can't be producing the same. I mean, even clown pieds, you can't be producing clown pieds anymore. You have to be producing, OD, yellow bay leopard, whatever
That's
clown
right.
pieds,
Yeah. Yeah.
um
When
and that's
you
okay, you know
uh well
I mean, to a
yeah,
certain extent, because it's given time. It's not like this happened just overnight per
no,
se. I
that's
know
right.
it's
That's
been
right.
really
Yeah.
quick.
This
These
shouldn't have
animals have been produced for a long time, so a lot of these people are like, "Oh, well, I bought this animal 15 years ago for this amount." Well, okay, that was 15 years ago. You
yeah.
know, now you can get the same animal in 2 years from 2 years ago for the same price. If that makes
Mm,
sense.
No, it does. It does. And it's the truth. Uh, Thank you for your transparency. I will reciprocate. I'll tell you to echo Herbert's point. Um, 108,000 is almost exactly the most I've ever grossed in a whole year in 20. That was my number in 2024, and I can tell you it's significantly down this year. However, my profitability percentage wise and dollar wise is actually up this year, which I think is a function of me capping out some of my investments and equipment investments, capital investments, not the animal investments. So and you said, and I'm at about 60 breeder females, and I've never really gotten past about 50% of them going because so many of them are first year breeders. I'm still early in that phase, in that sort of time frame as well. So actually, I'm excited that somebody is doing. You said you're averaging almost double that. Who are the? How many of these buyers are out there? Like, not everybody, I guess, everything would be relative, but I don't think there's space for a whole lot of people to be doing 20 grand a month. I could be wrong. Maybe there is. And I know there's people that do way more as well, but that's a pretty big achievement. And by the way, congratulations, man.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Man. Yeah, no, it definitely is a very high number, and it has to do especially with like the caliber of animals that we are producing. We are very fortunate to, get really crazy odds on a lot of that, and that really killed this season as well. I mean, last season we produced 2 triple visual males, and so that really helped our projects go forward. Yeah, but I'm sorry, I'm blanking. What was the question again?
Just mostly just talking about how much who are the buyers, how much space in the market for this volume of sales, and not even volume, amount of sales, because you're doing it on a relatively low amount of volume. I'll tell you, the 108,000 I did, I think I averaged right around 350 per animal across the whole year. So you're probably going, yeah, you did that the hard way, Adam, is probably what you're saying to yourself.
I'm sorry.
Do you think that there's a lot of those buyers out there?
Yeah, sorry, that's what I was.
That's okay. Are you seeing repeat buyers? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to think of. So in terms of like my customers, I do have a couple repeat customers here and there. And the repeat customers tend to be a little bit more on the higher end side. But I get a lot, like the main thing that sells for me is around the $1,000 to $1,500 sales, and I get like 3 or 4 of those throughout like the week in lease inquiries, and I'd say at least like 2 of them go.
Yeah.
And so then that helps out a lot. So I think there is a lot of space. And I mean, I've been looking on Instagram, the people who do have like, and they aren't like massive names or anything, but the people who do have like some vision and whatnot, their animals are selling, they are moving.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to be doing this on a large scale to be making a lot of money. You just have to have the vision almost.
And on that topic, what are there any cornerstones to your vision? Like, to your vision, we hear that word thrown around a lot, and everybody's got their own philosophy. You have the numbers to back it up. What is the blueprint of your vision?
So most of it was based out around the clown project. When I was first investing in, I was like, all right, if I'm going to get into a project, it has to at least revolve around clown at some point, so I could, incorporate them all into each other. As we've expanded, though, it's kind of maneuvered into VPI Xanthic. Almost all of our projects have some kind of tyings into that. And so I think that's really important when you are like investing in large, is to make sure that your projects work together, but they're also separate too. So you can have those more niche customers, but then also cover the more wide scale thing.
What would you say to somebody who says, what if people don't like VPI? And that's what I do. What if I work at that for 5 years? What do you say to that? I'm not saying I agree with that, but what do you say to that?
Well, I mean, not everyone likes every project, and that's perfectly A-okay. In my personal opinion, it's going to be a lot harder for anyone to push any other line of Xanthic, no matter the quality, just because of how widespread VPI is.
Excellent point. Agree completely with you.
And so that's why I mainly chose to invest into VPI. Like, I was looking at Black Xanthic for a while. It just seems like it's going to, if you want to work the project, it's going to be great. It's going to look beautiful. It's just going to be a lot more effort to try to push those kind of animals. And that's also like another thing when I was looking into investing as well, is like I wanted to get into some of these more like niche projects, but I also didn't want to go too crazy out there. Because there are like some really cool projects, but they don't have any like backing or foundation, right? But then you look at like something like Sunset a couple years ago, that was really niche, but it had a lot of potential, things like that. So I invested into that and Zebra, things like that. Um,
Where do you find the sweet spot of, excuse me, because you're exactly right. You can have a really cool looking animal, and sometimes that trumps everything. But a lot of uh, just about every gene that we work with, maybe with the exception of banana, but banana is its own that's its own market study for many, many reasons. Most genes that we work with, they're intriguing by themselves, but the real magic happens when you find them in the right combos, and then you start pushing them in the right direction, and you use that as a foundation. And so to that point, let's take Zebra, for example. Where was the sweet spot of Zebra where it was unique enough to still be high value, and there would be enough people that would buy it based on its merits visually of where it's at? Because I guess what I'm saying is, you could work the daylights out of a new project. If there's nobody there to buy it, nobody else working it, it becomes pet grade really, 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 really fast, which isn't really necessarily fair to all the projects, but it is what happens.
So when I was first investing into Zebra, I was a little like not necessarily skeptical. I just wanted to make sure that it actually had like, you know, some kind of backing like we were talking about. So I hit around a couple different breeders, and I saw that it actually had like some history. I mean, like Steve Russis has been working it forever. And there's just a lot of really cool essentially breeders who have already backed it, like Nova, Bob Vu, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're looking at investing into like a new gene like Bambino or something like that, it has to prove itself first within the community. And so this had the point where it hasn't necessarily been proven yet, but it's been already diverse throughout the community. So it had like the opportunity where you could be the person to almost prove it and make something new out of it,
Right.
while having a little bit of backing, so you know that you had a little bit of support and those animals would move.
Are there any genes, whether you own them or not, or whether you're excited about them or not, are there any genes that you see like that at this moment right now?
Um, I mean, on a like a really on a like, I'm really excited about the shredder stuff. I like shredder a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only have one female. She's a black pastel spot nose shredder het clown female. So that's like in terms of like the only like kind of newish like uniquer gene to our collection. We also have a lot of scrambler. I want to really prove out scrambler before I push it too crazy hard. Just because there's been so much debate about it. But in my eyes, no matter what, the animals that have been produced from the project are just so unique and colorful and vibrant that even if it is Orange Dream, all right, well, my Orange Dream is literally like 10 times better than your Orange Dream. So there's something going on, whether it's line bred or whatever. You know, I think that there will be a definite difference in value, but it needs to be more concreted and proven first.
I, I, God's honest truth, that was the gene that, oh, there you're back.
Hello?
Okay. You there?
Oh, no.
You're okay. Can you hear?
Hello?
Yep. Can you hear?
Oh, awesome. Yep. Sorry, my bad. My grandma had called for a second.
Oh, nice. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, no, we had you the whole way through there. You didn't realize it, but we were watching you the whole time there. It was good.
Okay.
So
I
God's
didn't
honest,
my nose or anything.
exactly. God's honest truth. Scrambler was a gene that I had in mind when you brought that up, and I had this conversation today. Yep.
Thank you. All right.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. My girlfriend's texting me right now.
So God's honest truth, I had that conversation today in the, I mentioned earlier, I did a Palm Street session earlier, and that topic came up. And you're right, there is, and rightly so, there's a ton of questions about what is it? Is it its own gene? Is it line bred? And the thing I love about Scrambler, and this will probably make some breeders, and especially going back to the competition capitalism commentary I had earlier, cringe, but those animals speak for themselves.
Really
I don't care. I mean, I care like 2% what the genetic information is. If that is Codom or non-recessive, for whatever we want to call that these days. And those could be produced and reach the masses. I think Scrambler can have an effect on the hobby industry almost to the extent that Banana did. And because there's going to be a lot of them produced, we might like that or we might not, but that's going to happen. It's a non-recessive. So there's going to be a lot produced, whether we like it or not. They are amazing looking. They stop people in their tracks. That's why I bought one. It passed my, I don't care what that is. If that's at the right price and I can afford it, I'm buying it. And I did that. And I did it 3 times over. And I imported them from Canada. So it passes those tests. And then to your point on crossing over in some of the higher end stuff, if people want to build that into triple recessives, be my guest. I would want to as well. The future's wide open on it, and there can be some high end stuff, but those are just some of the most breathtaking animals that I've seen. And all the debates over what it is and whatnot, that is wasted energy, in my opinion. Put those out there and get those in the marketplace and change people's perceptions of what beautiful animals are, is my opinion, man. Incredible, you know?
So when I was vending, I think what really helped me is because I brought 2, like a couple of our really highlight scrambler animals, and I had numerous like people stop at my table. Like I said, I only had two displays. I had numerous people tell me I had the most beautiful animals at the entire show. And it was all the scrambler stuff. The scrambler stuff stopped pet buyers, breeders. I had people who said that they hate ball pythons, but the scrambler stuff stopped them dead in their tracks.
Yeah.
Just invest in what you love. There is a certain extent to like, you need to know what you're breeding. Of course,
Of course.
but at the same time, a lot of these genes are new and we're still figuring them out. And so this is a great time to get into something that is clearly different, as long as you get it from a good quality lineage. Because there are some people who, are just putting things up there, and that is what's hurting the project. But if you can get some good quality lineage for a decent price, it could be massive for you.
I think so. And I think this is going to be a really good, I make a prediction that's not that bold, because we've seen this happen. We're just coming off of this happening with lace, right? It was beautiful. It is incredible. I don't know anything about it because I don't own it. A lot of stuff was being sold as lace. Then we had the genetic test. Oh, it turns out, no, that wasn't lace. So like, if it doesn't pass the eye test, I don't care what somebody labels it as. I'm not buying it. It's got to pass. It's got to pass the wow test,
100%. There, I spent about, it hurts to say, but about $9,000 on lace stuff, and it all proved negative.
Oh,
it hurts. But I've gotten some animals. I've gotten the hookup from a homie. So I have some actual like shed tested stuff now. But yeah, I mean, shed testing has been a blessing, and when we can finally figure out, especially like this all this Orange Dream debate too, it makes it so much harder. Because I mean, you can send in a Hypos, an Orange Dream, whatever, and they all test the same, or they come back negative. Because a lot of our scrambler stuff, it's negative for Orange Dream altogether. But at the same time, that test isn't 100% completely valid. So it's like, okay, well, maybe we missed the allele or something like that.
That's the problem, and I don't want to speak. How do I put this? There's a banner under my name that says shedtesting.com. There is a reason Charlie doesn't offer an Orange Dream test. The Orange Dream tests don't meet a certain level of scientific veracity. They meet a pretty good level of it. They don't meet the level that he wants to get to. That causes pause for me. The flip side of that I love is, okay, what do we care what it's called? What do we care about this word salad other than our egos and trying to sell it to somebody else, versus going, here's what I believe the parents had. Here is the result that I got. And this thing will blow your mind. Would you like a piece of this or not? How about that? Because if you would, now's your chance. And what's it worth to you? And that to me is the beauty of what we do. That's back to the artistic part of it. That's back to the, I don't know what Gina was for you, but for me, it was Pieds. I have a different perspective of Pieds right now from a breeder standpoint, but from a consumer looking at something with my 2 eyeballs, I was like, incomprehensible to me. And that's what I'm looking for in ball pythons. I'll figure out the genetics, the finances of it all later. If it's mind blowing, I'm cool with it, and I think that's where I think Scrambler's done that the best that I can recall really in recent time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, most definitely. I would say the most eye-catching animals I've seen for the most part have been Scrambler, if not various combos.
Yeah. And I should clarify that. The highest result of sort of mind blowing and the most attainable. When I say we don't need, there are, you mentioned earlier, like a Xanthic DG clown, incredible, not that attainable. Fire Scrambler Super OD, pretty attainable, and all due respect, damn near as powerful as the best DGs I've ever seen in my life. So, they're attainable. And I think that's important. I don't think this should be a snobby hobby. I came from the world of wine. I've been through this snobbery stuff. Like, I get it. Like, let me tell you, high dollar snobbery. I've flown in the helicopters of these billionaires, man. Like that. I don't need any more of that world, So, anyhow, speaking of overhead and finances, I need to pay some bills, but I want to dig in as far as we can respectfully into some of these investment and capital models that you have. We've talked about everybody has different resources, different opportunities. On the other hand, I think a lot of people maybe think that they don't have any opportunities, and there is a sweet spot in the middle. And I'd love to hear, I know you can only talk about your experience, but I'd love to hear your experience with that, if that's cool for us to jump into after the break. Cool. I'll take a quick break. Let me tell you guys, first and foremost, these companies are supporting our industry. That's what they're doing. These are people within our industry supporting our industry. I don't know if you noticed, if you're watching on the replay, there has not been a commercial interruption whatsoever. All of Proper Royals live content is brought to you ad-free by the fine folks that the logos are surrounding. So give them a check out if you're a little bit bored and want something to go take a look at. I ship with Redline Shipping. I think if you hear Clayton and I talking about $1,000, $1,500, multi-$1,000 animals, I want the highest level of service. That's why I ship with Redline Shipping. It's the service that they have. There's a team there at your service. Temperatures are changing. The season is changing. They have the supplies. They have the information. These are reptile owners and enthusiasts that are answering your phone call. They're the only company that I know of that has the phone number that you can call and ask for support and insight into how to ship your animals. So Redline Shipping is who I use. Check out redlineshipping.com. Great customer experience there from the booking and the service part of it. Proper 5 will get you $5 off of your next shipping label. Shedtesting.com. We just talked about that a little bit. That's Charlie Williams. In the next few weeks and coming time, there'll be a transition. You'll see shedtesting.com and Phenome, Phenome.com. That is the same company. Charlie is part of Phenome. That is a new company, new endeavor. That is a genetics company focused on reptiles, and Charlie fits into that company very, very well. But he is still at the helm of the shed testing, and he is still the driving force behind the ball python shed testing. So you can go check out shedtesting.com. He's recently lowered prices because he's doing it more efficiently. He's doing it more lab-based, professional, industrial lab-based. So there's very little human interaction, which eliminates more and more variables for exceptionally high accuracy. And he's doing it faster, better, faster, cheaper, man. That's the way right there. Shedtesting.com. There's over 40 genes that you can test for. Some of the most recent ones that have come out are Lace, Monarch, Hurricane, and the Monsoon test. So you can go there. You go check out shedtesting.com. Just to give you an idea of the pricing, you can run a 10-panel test on one animal for $85. That is $8.50 per test. Single tests on single animals start at $35 as well. So check out shedtesting.com. Use the promo code PROPER10. Get yourself 10% off of these newly lowered prices. He's still giving you a bargain just for hanging out on properroyals.com. Next up is Sundog Serpents. If you would watch that Palm Street session that I did today, you would have seen an unboxing from Sarah and Josh at Sundog Serpents. I do business with them. I've known Sarah and Josh now for about 4 years. We used to vend together on the Repticon circuit down in Florida. They specialize in TSK, axanthic clown projects and ingredients, doing great stuff with asphalt and super asphalt. And they also have puzzle ingredients and visual puzzles that have hatched and are available. I can also tell you, keep an eye on their Morph Market. They have lots of inventory. I think they said about 180 hatchlings. If there's something that you see in their Morph Market that you don't have, they don't have exactly what you're looking for, but maybe they have something close, go check them out and shoot them a line, see what they have available. They might just have something that you are looking for. This poses a challenge because I would like to have the logos. So I unfortunately, sometimes I force the guests to sit there, but I have a solution. Boom. There we go. Right there. Clayton will be back in a moment. One hopes. And those are the wrong logos. Okay, so Sundog is there. I'm going to owe another advertiser some space here in a minute. Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. Do me a favor, guys. Check out ReaganRenee.com. This just rolled out. ReaganRenee.com. ReaganRenee.com. That is Charlie Ryan from Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. All of his inventory is on his website. Check this out. Everything on his website is free shipping. Okay, cool. If you are watching this and you go to his website and you use the promo code PROPER10, the very same one from shedtesting.com, you're going to get 10% off anything that you buy from his website. So free shipping, 10% off just for hanging out on Proper Royals. And then he's got all kinds of ways to pay. You could do credit card, the various platform, financial digital platforms. He also has the buy now, pay later stuff kind of deal, and you get the animal right away as well. So all of those things are an exceptionally good reason to go check out ReaganRenee.com. Charlie is doing very, very cool stuff with Kryptons, DG, G-Stripe, Candy Pied Clowns, G-Stripe Clowns, G-Stripe Clown, Desert Ghost ingredients as well. A bunch of cool stuff, a bunch of nice stuff. ReaganRenee.com. That is Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. Check that out. BNS Reptilia. That is Chris Shelley at BNS Reptilia. He is the original sponsor of Proper Royals, the advertising partner, and we're still doing business years later. He's my vending partner at Tinley, and he has been a very good business partner that I'm proud to do business with. He is Reptilia because he deals not only in ball pythons, but blood pythons, locality boas, colubrids of all shapes and sizes, even Pituophis, which is the bull snakes and the pine snakes, if that means anything to you. He has the permits, the knowledge, and the resources to get you those animals legally and safely. Check out Chris if those mean anything to you. I got to add Clayton back to the stage here because there's one more person I got to tell you about, and this overlay is actually outdated. So let's do this. Last but certainly not least, the newest addition to the Proper Royals Tuesday night lineup is Keeper Kane. That is Kane Fritz Wallace. Check out Keeper Kane, the YouTube channel. You're already at YouTube. When this show ends, go check out Keeper Kane and his YouTube channel. Always family friendly. It documents his experiences, journeys in keeping ball pythons, aquatics, tarantulas, and life in an animal-filled home. All of that is on his YouTube channel. He's a very good person. We've become very good friends, business acquaintances, and colleagues. Do me a favor. Thanks for his support. He supported Proper Cup of Joe before the opportunity to take the spot here. Go check out Keeper Kane and his YouTube channel. He's also on Morph Market and Instagram if you want to check that out as well. Thank you, audience, for hanging out tonight. Thanks for being here. It makes sense for me to do this show without an audience. So I'm thankful. Believe it or not, I have sometime in August was the 4-year anniversary. 4 didn't seem, I got to get to 5. We like a nice round number, right? But 4 years going here on Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night, we do it here, 8 o'clock Eastern time. If you're new and you haven't considered liking and subscribing, I would be grateful if you would. Hanging out with Clayton Kaufman tonight of Sculpted Exotics. It's been a fun episode. If you are just joining, make sure go back to the beginning from the replay. We've had a spirited conversation. I'm excited about it. Clayton, talk a little bit about, if you would, as much as you're comfortable or don't want to talk about or do want to, that's your call. But any of the structure, sounds like there was kind of 2 pivotal moments, an investment and an opportunity to buy another collection on some favorable terms. Talk a little bit about those structures if you're willing to or able to.
No, of course. Yeah. So in terms of like my investor, I was very fortunate with the position I was at. They were willing to give me a lot of essentially some capital up front. And then I was allowed to invest into these animals and let them kind of flourish before I had to pay back anything. And so I didn't have any expectations for any return until June of actually this year. And so we were really early on that production.
And I'm sorry to pick that apart. So you basically had a 2-year grace period of, hey, get to it, get your feet under you. No pressure at the moment. You got a 2-year grace period. Then want to see some money coming in.
And so when I was first investing in, I essentially did like a 70-30 rule. 30% of stuff can breed for me now. It can like maintain, because I had the investment. There was no more after that. Right.
Okay.
And so it was up to me to figure out, like, feeding bills, things along those lines. And I had a job for a long time throughout this. It was only until I think August of this year that I went full time on this. Or not August, I'm sorry, April. But yeah. And so April is when I went full time into this, and then yeah. And so for the collection that I recently acquired, I actually had to I actually took out a bank loan for it. So essentially I used and I'm using the collection as essentially collateral for it.
With the bank let you put that up as collateral?
Yeah, so we were able to find like a really cool little loophole. Most banks won't allow you to use animals
I was going to say, what are they going to repossess the animal? The bank doesn't want the animals.
No.
How talk about this? This is intriguing.
Well, essentially they were just we went to an advisor essentially, and they had recommended this local union to us, and we kind of described the person. We over the phone they were like no. Okay, and then I was able to get an appointment with them in person. I kind of showed them what we were going on, what we were netting and things like that. And I don't know exactly like the terminology they discovered, but it was my local credit union. And they just were like, all right, we'll give you 20,000 because that's all I needed at the time. And since I was acquiring a $500,000 collection, they're like, all right, we can work something out along those lines. And so I used the bank to pay off the collection, and then I'm using the collection to pay off the bank.
Hang on, say that again now. You use
so the there's a part of the collection I have dedicated to sell, over half the collection. So that goes back towards paying the debt, towards the bank, and then anything left goes back towards the collection itself. And then anything after that from the collection actually produced is paid back to Dawn until Dawn is the person I bought the collection from, until the entire sum is paid off.
Gotcha. So let me make sure I understand this, because this is the lessons in just the past 2 minutes are incredibly cool to me. And some of it I've experienced, and others of it I just love knowing is out there. So the original owner of the collection says basically, hey, I need a down payment. I want a chunk of money. You're going to have to come up with that chunk of money. You get me that chunk of money. You take the animals, and then I'm going to keep an eye on you and these animals. And as they sell, you're going to pay me until the X amount, whatever that is between you two, whatever that balance is due, or is settled up. Is that sort of the framework of it?
Yeah.
And then what was the conversation of, because you have the loan for the bank, what was the length of time on that loan? Was that a year, 10 years?
I have 2 years on that.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I've already paid up because it's only like $760 a month, something like that. And I've done a couple like early payments on it, so I'm ahead of time on that. And that's like something I'm still figuring out as well myself, because credit is still very new to me. I was kind of a little bit late on that.
I
And
mean,
so
give yourself a little grace here. You're 20. You're doing okay on it. All right.
yeah. So I'm gonna use that as that's also another really cool. So I'll have my card kind of counting up towards me, and then I'll have the loan from the bank, and then what's the other thing? I have a credit card too. And so just have those different forms going in. Like I said, just kind of learning that aspect still.
What do you say? And maybe you don't say anything to them, but what do you say to anybody who says, you're in a world of debt at an early time in your life, and let's be honest, XYZ scary disease could run through those, and you'd be, in a really horrific spot. And
Mm.
what about that?
So I mean, I'll be completely transparent. I'm very, very, very extremely fortunate. If this all did go to shit and I had to pay back my investors, I apologize if
That's an
um
appropriate place to put it, by the way. If you're going to let one
yeah,
slip, there you go. That's the
yeah.
spot.
If this all went down, I have a substantial inheritance that would be able to cover any debts, things along those lines. So Don felt secure with that. And then in case anything were to happen to me, I have very detailed structures on like how we would go about selling the collection. Um, and I have a couple people that in mind that that, and they know if anything were to happen, like they'd be like first up essentially on
These are the
dibs.
phone calls, yeah,
Yeah.
that need to be made. That actually is an interesting conversation in itself. We might swing over to that in just a moment. How did, as much as you want to share, and I don't want to get too far into it, but inheritance generally means a loss of somebody. So my condolences on any of that. There's life is an interesting balance beam, man. There's whatever is good. There's always something else that goes with it that offsets it. So, how did the original conversation go when you go, all right, grandma, I got this plan and I need your help. How did that go?
Well, it didn't start with a large number, that's for sure.
Okay.
It started with I think the first one was 8,000. So I mean, that's a large number. Actually, I shouldn't
No,
say
that's
that, but
pretty
that's
solid. Yeah.
8,000 is a very large number.
Right.
But and so we had invested into the sunset stuff. We gave that a little bit of time, and we saw how that kind of flourished, and we were able to make a couple hets off of that. I'll be honest, I didn't do like the best off of it. The females I had gotten from that had reabsorbed, and then the male had given us one clutch, so I was happy about that. And that's kind of like where we had like our little grace. All right, this is something viable. And then from that step, that's when we kind of looked more into like more larger term investments, because we realized at that point in time too is if we want to take this on a serious level, pet animals wasn't going to be where it's at.
Mhm.
You're not going to be making even like your feeding bill back usually with pet animals for the most part. And so we are like, all right, we need to at least invest into like one high quality project of some sort. And then I invested into Zebra, and then like I said, just from there, it just kept on going. We produced cool animals. We had cool results. There's ups and downs. And then yeah, so and then it was about June of 2023 was when I made that really really big investment, and it wasn't until about a couple months ago that we got the recent collection. So you can see there's quite a large group of time, like bit of time, where it was just kind of like the collection developing, growing over time. But I mean, honestly, anytime I make a little bit of cash, like in my own pocket, I usually invest it into a new mail, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Just because it's an addiction for me at a certain point too. But it's like I also just see like the potential little come ups too, like, and it's like it's hard not to, you know. I mean, these animals are they're fantastic. They're amazing.
I agree with you. I feel a little compelled to say something on your behalf. I heard a little hesitation in your voice where maybe you felt I wouldn't say guilty. You felt a certain way about saying, "Hey, I have a lot of resources." Here's the fact of the matter, though. You may have all the resources in the world. You could very easily piss away all the resources in the world, and you haven't done
Most
that.
definitely.
And you're doing quite the opposite. So,
Mhm.
and that goes back to, I get chills talking about it. That goes back to, I almost don't care what people's resources are. You could start little and go on a cash flow model and figure out how to grow. And that's something I've had to do. But I've also seen people with massive, and it's amazing because there's somebody front of mine, and I'm not going to speak any more about it because it's not fair to out people. There are people that have had massive resources that are actively working their butts off to piss it all away. So, there's always the flip side of the coin. So good job on you for
Thank you.
keeping that in
There's
order.
there's definitely a fine balance for sure, like you were saying.
Yeah. Well, and just delivering on the expectations and the promises that you've made. Let's go back to the credit union for just a moment. It's something I found in my own experience, and it's neat to hear you reflect it. Sometimes the smaller the bank or the smaller anybody will get more creative, because in a lot of ways, they're just like somebody else starting out. They have a great big competitor that they're looking at. They want to be Bank of America one day, but they're not right now. And even credit unions have a little bit different way of doing business anyway. But even just small town banks, if you get to know somebody, if you can be persistent, if you could say, I'll come meet you in person, hear me out, at the end of the day, you're the customer. They have some, in my opinion, ethical obligation to at least hear you out. And good things come from it, man. I mean, can you imagine the response to the banks when I said, there's a car wash I'm going to buy, and then I'm going to convert some of it into a reptile facility. And oh, by the way, I'll have a rodent farm in there as well. And I need 6 figures of funding to make that happen. Like, that's it's weird to say out loud, actually. That's a tough conversation, man. And that's how it went. And I found the right bank that said, okay, Adam, what do you got? What's your history? And again, you and I are at different stages in life. I probably have a little different credit history than you do, just by virtue of being on this earth for 25 longer years. And I said, here's what I've got. Does that make you happy? And if it doesn't, what do I need to get, or how do I need to sweeten this deal? And it went pretty quick, to tell you the truth. So I don't want you to feel anyway. The fact that you have the resources still to show for it is testament to you, not whatever luck came your way, good or bad. That is beside the point, in my opinion.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I could have, like you were saying, I could have used the money to buy a Ferrari or something,
That's right. That's exactly right, man. So anyway, there you go. Thanks for hearing me out. And let me jump up on my little soapbox there. You talked about, and maybe just talk about the philosophical stuff of it, but I think it's a very responsible conversation. At some point, these collections get big enough, both they're live animals, but they are a tremendous asset in the right hands. And if something does happen to you, what does that model look like? And what inspired you to say, I mean, essentially, I guess, for lack of a better word, you've written out a will for these animals or this business model. Talk about that.
Yeah. So it sparked up from my grandma's accountant, just because when she was first investigating, they wanted to know, like, all right, so what happens to you, or what happens to the collection if something happens to you, right? That's a very valid question. So
yeah,
we did a lot of thinking upon that. Essentially, my grandma was very generous about it. Essentially, so if I were to pass away, everything would go into my little sister's name and then be sold off. So then my little sister this would go into, her college funding, things like that. She already has that, but it just add on to it essentially.
Right.
But so, and then we have like essentially a will, but it's almost like a step-by-step basis, because like I said, it's only going to one person, Ella, and then that's my little sister, and then it's just a morph market in terms of like I have a general list of what everything's worth. And
I was
I
going to
do that
say,
on a
yeah,
monthly basis.
there's got to be a process for divestment, right? And like
Exactly.
you and I could talk about that, but a stranger that has no idea, no pun intended, a person who has no idea what stranger pied is or clown is, has no idea.
Right. So I have to go through on a monthly basis and reevaluate everything. It also helps like keep me on my like listings, things like that, just because I'm always getting a current market value. Um, and then essentially I listed down different people to hit up, and then if anything really did go all bad, just pretty much auction everything.
Yeah. What about the care of the animals? Do you have like some local colleagues that you say, hey, look, here's your first call, second, third call kind of thing for care for these?
So I'm really close with my rodent people, because I don't produce my own rodents, so I completely rely on them, and so we're always talking back and forth and whatnot. So if anything were to go down with me, they would get a percentage cut to take care of the animals for a little bit while they were all selling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, man, I would invest in you myself, man. I think it's all good. I think everything that you've talked about is just wildly impressive from a business standpoint. We didn't even really dive into the animals. We talked some about Scrambler. Let's say 2 years from now, Scrambler or otherwise, what are some projects that you think that you'll in 2 years look back to this moment and go, man, I nailed it. These things are incredible. Like, what do you want to see in a couple of years, man?
Well, for sure, the Desgos VPI, like Cryptic Zebra. I just made quad heads for that, and they're Pinta, whatever, Quinta.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Hypo.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I'm like, oh my goodness, that's really where the bread and butter is for me. But and then also like Sunset Ultramel Hypo Clowns too. And we kind of had a back burner, like I said, a lot of the Sunset stuff reabsorbed for me this last season, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of the Ultramel females are building up. I'm really excited for that project. Yeah, those would definitely be my two highlights for sure. Something along those lines with some codoms in the mix.
Yeah. Last question and last topic. I should say, I'll knowing me, I'll have 9 questions, but last topic here. Where and when you talked about just building quad heads, where and when do you put those, and like say, I'll just say non-recessives for lack of a better word, dominance, co-dominance, incomplete dominance, whatever people want to say, the one copy genes that you could see, when do you start working those in and how do you do that? Talk us through this sort of breeding thing, this breeding schedule. You've got quad hats. Do they have any codoms in them?
Yeah, they have leopard, spot nose, and sheep pastel, and HRA.
And what?
And HRA.
Oh, HRA. Now, how underrated is HRA? Speaking of a gene that's been around forever and people don't, I mean, untapped, right?
Can I show these off real quick? I just produced some Desgos VPI Cryptics. They're out of this world.
I saw the post, man. Bring them on. Kane, thanks for the $5, everybody. Go check out Keeper Kane. You'll see his logo on the top there. All right, so Clayton, take it away here. Hang on. Let me put you on the big screen. 1 second. No.
So they are going into shed. They're not as vibrant as they were.
There we go.
But these guys are just so insane.
And say it one more time, a little slowly for us slow people in the back here.
Right, so these guys, they came from a red exanthic. So everything is het red. And then dad was het red exanthic, so there are some red exanthics in this clutch, but I don't believe this guy to be a red exanthic.
Okay.
This is possible super leopard, spot nose, het red exanthic, desert ghost, VPI cryptic. And so these guys are just so underrated. Cryptic 2 is just so underrated because people don't understand the gene. But if you maneuver it correctly, you can truly duplicate your projects like tenfold. And it's so diverse too. You can add cryptic to your puzzle projects, your clown projects. So this male, like these males are essentially, well, one of them's a female, and I'm keeping the female and letting go of the male, just because we already have a breeder male. But these guys are so diverse. You can use them for almost all of your projects, get some of these crazy codoms in. I mean, puzzling this will be insane.
Yeah. You're about to have a new best friend with Charlie from Reagan Renee. He'll be, you guys are going to be friends, man. Geez, beautiful animals, man. Congratulations on those. I saw the post on Instagram earlier, man. That's fantastic.
Thank you. That means the world to me. They're definitely I put it in the post too. They're out of Don's collection. It really is just a testament to his vision. He put so much effort into those animals, and see them actually come to fruition. Like you were saying, I mean, in a couple of years, see that, look back, and those are the kind of animals that I'm hoping like the Desgos VPI Zebra Cryptic, something like that looks like. So excited.
Well, Clayton, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Thanks for being so transparent. I have nothing but support for you and root for you. Thank you on a personal note for your support to me in the Patreon. And we got to hang out a little bit more, man. I'm enjoying this. I enjoy this here. And I can't wait to see what you do. Come back sometime. We got to talk in the next year or so, man. Don't stay too far away. You're producing some killer stuff, man.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you having me on. This was a blast. I look forward to next time, man.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Audience, like I say, we do this every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. I'll be back here, same time, same place. Go check out Sculpted Exotics, definitely on Instagram, definitely on Morph Market. Where else can people find you, Clayton?
TikTok, Facebook. I'm on everything pretty much. I'm not like crazy active on TikTok, but I like to post some of the goofier stuff. You know,
I've seen some dancing of yours. I have to say, I don't understand it, but I have seen it.
The Gen Z influence. What can I say, right?
I definitely, when I was picking my son up after school, I was like, hit me with some of these things. We didn't even have to get into any of that. I'm thrilled. This is better for everybody, I have to say. All right, guys, go give Clayton a follow at Sculpted Exotics, and if you want to dig even more into some of this stuff, check out his episode. You were with Stephen Conduit, is that correct, on the Epic episode?
Stephen Conduit and Prague.
Oh, yeah. That's Prague. Right. Prague Morphs. Yeah. So check out that episode. You can find that on Epic YouTube channel. That is Exotic Pet Industry Conference, and that has its own YouTube channel. That is there as well. Guys, thanks everybody for hanging out, and on the replay, thanks for checking it out. See you guys soon. Again, same place, same time. Clayton, stick around for just 1 second. Okay. Good night, everybody. See you soon.
Good night.